This video is sponsored by lalal.ai. More about them later.
Hi, I hope you are well. I'm Espen Kraft. Thank you so much for watching. A couple of weeks ago, I released part 1 of my 80s lesson tutorial series, and this will be the second installment of that. Today I'm going to show you how I arranged and recorded and finalized this song, which I started in the first video. That first video you can find here, by the way. And by the time you see this, the song has been released on all digital platforms. And it's also available on my Bandcamp. Check my video description for links. Okay, so let's head out into the door and check out why I've done what I've done and how.
And here we are in the DAW. And as you can see, I have, as usual, if you watched some of my tutorials before, you can see that I have my drums in red. These are folder tracks. I have bass in blue, synths in orange, some guitars in green, and my vocals in yellow. And I also have a lo-fi track here. I'll get back to that later. That's more part of the sound, the mixing, more than the arrangement. So let's have a look at what's going on here. Again, I assume you've listened to the finalized song before you watch this. But anyways, let's mute the vocals and listen to the intro and break that down to see what I've done. And here the verses start. So let's break this down then and check out what's going on. Let me mute the synths and the bass, and let's have a look at the drums. So we're going to start that intro again. So what I have going is a couple of kicks, I have a couple of snares, and I have some tambourines that comes in later in the song. I have a shaker and some claps, a lot of cowbell, and some hi-hats and some crashes. Most of these sounds are coming from the EMU drumulator, which I have right here. And the samples I use are my own samples. I've actually released these samples in a sample pack. Check out the video description for that. And what I've done is I've augmented the snares a little bit and the kicks a little bit. I need both the mid frequencies and the lower frequencies for the kick, and also the same for the snare. So I often double and layer my kicks and snare to get a little bit more meat in the sound. So that's what's going on in terms of sound. Again, I won't go too much into the sound because that's a part of my mixing techniques, and I have videos for that. But I'll get back to those drum sounds coming in and out as we go through the arrangement. So I won't use too much time on the drums right now. But let's check out the bass. And that bass consists of 2 parts as well. Let's listen to that. So the bass is again 2 sounds. I have one from the Juno. And one bass sound from my Casio FZ10M. That provides a higher bite, so it'll cut through the track more in the higher frequencies, while the Juno bass in itself, heavily chorused and processed from before, provides the meat of the sound. On its own, it's not enough to cut through the track, so I added that Casio FZ10M bass to give it some character, so it'll turn up in the track even if I'm going on with more synths later on. And it's always a struggle to find out the best overall volume for the bass in a track, but that'll come with experience, and no song is alike, no mix is like the next one. So you often have to juggle that bass volume up and down as the arrangement progresses, and you make the final mix sit. So we'll see if we can change this volume as we go further into this arrangement. So that's drums and bass. And when it comes to the bass line, how it plays, that's a very big part of the arrangement. I wanted to have a mix between 16th notes, but slightly changed, just like the 80s inspirational bands for this song, like the Pet Shop Boys, Johnny Hates Jazz, New Order, where they constantly changed the bass pattern throughout a song. So you will find that the bass patterns in this song changes constantly throughout the verses, pre-choruses, choruses. So it's never stale in terms of its pattern playing. Okay, let's move on. And then we have the synths. So let's open that folder and have a look. And let's unmute that. So as you can see in the beginning, we have pads from the Roland JX8P, the soundtrack patch, slightly modified. And all of the pads in the song are played live by hand, no MIDI. And the way I usually do it is I start playing from the top, recording. And once I mess it up, I'll just rewind slightly and continue recording. So that's where you can see the different parts coming and going, where I stopped and started the recording. And I even had a little bit more release than I'd ideally would want on the pad sound. But some of the notes stuck once in a while. But listening back to some of the parts where the notes were hanging, it sort of added a texture, a dimension to the chords. So I sort of kept it most of the time because it added adventure, tension to the chords. So mistakes can yield great results. Okay, so let's listen to it. So you can hear the pads, but there's also this synth oboe or solo lead going from the beginning. Let's check out that as well. I wanted to have a strong lead motif going from the first bar, and I didn't want a bell sound. I wanted this kind of legato synth lead solo sound, very much like a synthetic oboe. So I chose one of my sounds from the from my library of TAL samples. I've sampled a lot of synths from before. Some of them are in this pack I sell online. Again, check the video description. This sound, however, is not part of that pack. This is another sound I have. And this was perfect for the lead motif in my view, so I chose that. And I also have a little sound from a plugin coming in here. From that OBXA plugin I've shown you before. And that sort of ties up the different parts of that intro with a couple of, again, that's more bell-like type sound. So together I fill out the frequencies, I fill out the information I need to get that lead motif coming and going. So that's basically all that's going on in the intro. That pad from the JX8P. That lead motif from that PPG sample, and a bell sound to tie it all up together. So that will be something that will return once after the first chorus. I'll get back to that shortly. So let's listen further. So that starts up the verses. And now we can check out the vocals. So after the first video, I've recorded my vocals again, of course, into this arrangement. Let's have a listen to the verses, or the verse. Okay, so that was the verses, the verse. And the melody line is pretty much the same as it was in video 1. The lyrics hasn't changed much either. So let's check out what the synths are doing in the arrangement, because there's something happening throughout the verse here. So let's going from the start. How could I know? So let's check out my sponsor for this video, lalal.ai. And they are an online service that lets you extract vocal and instrumental tracks from any audio. So let's try this on our song here. Let's try a couple of bars from the verse. I load it up, they process it and separate it, and now I have the individual files. How could I know? Realize even before you go. So check it out yourself. I'll leave a link for you in the video description. But now we come to the second part of that verse. I add a couple of synths. So let's hear those in isolation. Let's mute the vocals. So that PPG guitar is coming in the left and right channel, doing a little melody line of its own. And also the JX8P pad is now playing a more elaborate version of the chords, adding some notes to the chords, and also a couple of notes hanging unintentionally, but it sort of sounded good, almost Twin Peaks-like. Let's have a listen. And in that second part of the verse, I sort of skips every second beat of that snare drum too, to sort of stall the arrangement a little bit, to build up tension for the chorus. And now the chorus. Let's hear what I've done there. Okay, so the chorus follows the same thinking as the verse. I divide it up in two parts, where the first part of the chorus just goes along with the groove, and the second part of the chorus, I break up those snares again and sort of makes the arrangement halt a little bit again to just fill in some texture. So let's listen to that chorus again. That guitar and that bell. And stalling a little bit.
Make that call.
And we go back to the intro part, which is a plain copy of that you heard in the first section of the song. And now we come to the second verse, and usually you add a new type of sound, a new part, the arrangement in the second verse in a mid-80s pop song. And I've done that too, and that's those two parts up here. A couple of sequences, one playing an octave higher than the other, going left and right in the stereo field. And I've also added some more parts during the later section of the second verse. So let's hear it first, and I'll take you through what I've done.
Say your name. I can't recall, and I'm the one to blame. I'm torn and I'm ashamed. I wanted to know, realize too late before the show. No more tears to flow. So I'll wait here for you. So long.
So there's a lot more going on in this second verse. So let me take you through it. And the first thing you noticed is, of course, the new lyrics. I have to have new lyrics for the second verse. So that's one thing. But let's mute that vocals and let's listen to the arrangement and see what the sounds are doing. Part of the second verse. So that's those sequences going left and right, again to just add texture and bring something new into the mix. And now I add a little bit of organ. And that organ was very important to me. I wanted to have a organ sound in this arrangement, and I found it in the brand new Turus synth, actually, that I reviewed just a week ago. And that does the part. And at the end of that segment, a little choir sound again from the Casio FC10M. I just wanted the choir going on the offbeat, like that. Just one note, perfect for this arrangement. And of course, all of this is tied into the words and the vocals I'm singing, because in this second verse, And the pre-chorus number 2, the second pre-chorus, I've added a lot of harmonies to my vocals, so let's check those out as well. The organ especially are playing a counter melody at first to that vocal line, but on the second part of that organ thing, it plays in unison with my harmony of the vocals. Let's check it out.
Say your name, I can't recall, and I'm the one to blame. I'm torn and I'm ashamed. I wanted to know, realize too late before the show. No more tears to flow. So I wait here for you. So long.
And now we get to the second chorus, and what I've done here is when we get to the end of the second chorus, I do yet another modulation. Check back on the first video where I showed you how I did the modulations up to this part.
Make that call and take what you're waiting for. It's not hesitation, but dedication.
So what's happening on the second part of the chorus here is that I modulate yet again in a way to get it back to where I started with the C chord at the end. What you're waiting for, now I do a sus chord, a sus4, and holding that, going down to a A7 with a G bass, then down to a F major 7, and now down to a E sus4, holding that a little bit, and now I go back to that C chord in the intro part, but this is basically a bridge or a third chorus with a new singing vocal line. So that A sus with the G bass, F major 7 and E sus takes it down back into that C chord, and it sort of feels like you're going up to a new key, but it's just a sneaky way to get back to that C without actually making it into a new key. It's the same key we heard before. So that's a sort of a little trick I do to modulate and to go back to where I actually started. But where I actually started brings in a new part in the song. So let's check out that as well. Oh, one more thing. I added some synth brass here in that second chorus. So not much in terms of new sounds here, but the vocals are singing "I'll Be Missing You" in unison, and the 2-second repeats are with harmonies as well. I wanted to bring it into a sort of falsetto register, just like Aha or Alphaville did, to bring out the emotions of "I'll Be Missing You." So the pads are doing just a C, A minor, F major 7, D diminished with those alternate bass notes like before, but I bring in a new theme from those bells up here. sort of gives it a kind of Christmassy feeling, or just a good feeling, I hope, in the sort of sadness.
I'll be missing you.
And at this point, the vocals are done, and I just go back to those pads, which started the song. I add a little bit of that organ from before, and I add a couple of guitars, again from that Casio FZ10M, doing the same picking, but I've slightly offset the start and end point of those two tracks that are basically the same. So the one starts 5 milliseconds ahead of the beat, the other one 5 milliseconds after the beat. And together they bring a nice way of ending the song with a long fade. And another trick I use at the end here is I add some tambourines on the offbeat. That also gives the whole rhythm a sense of picking up speed, while it's clearly not. But again, it gives a little bit of lift, and it's a very 80s way of doing it. And you heard the notes stuck there. But at this point, the song has ended. It's been faded a long time ago, so it doesn't matter. So that's basically the whole arrangement. What I haven't told you about is that lo-fi track down here. I've used this in a lot of videos. I've shown you this before if you watch my channel. But what this basically is, it's the whole arrangement, the whole mix, without the vocals, mixed through a degrading plugin, a lo-fi plugin, or some lo-fi outboard processing, and it makes everything sound like this. So what I do is I mix this in with everything else, much lower in volume, and maybe filtered a little bit more to taking out the top frequencies. And you have to delay, you don't have to, but I delay it 1 millisecond so it doesn't phase with the original signal. And this adds actually quite a lot of energy back into the whole mix. Let's do this, unmute and mute this a couple of times. Let's hear if you can hear it. I'm not sure the YouTube algorithm lets you hear this as good as I do, but let's check it out. Off. On. I can hear it clearly, and it just gives that right amount of energy into the whole track that way. Again, I'm not sure if the YouTube algorithm lets you hear this as clear as I do. But it's a very important thing for me to do. I highly recommend you check this out. Check some of my other videos if you want to see more about that. And here we have it. a 80s pop song arrangement, not too much going on, but every sound you hear is tailored to the arrangement, tailored towards hanging around the lyrics, augmenting the vocals, some counter melodies to the main vocal line. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. Again, available on all streaming platforms, also on my Bandcamp with a couple of mixes, the in-the-box mix and the out-of-the-box mix, so you can compare. And it's been a lot of fun going through this with you. I hope you liked it. And I look forward to doing more of these tutorials in the future. If you have questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section. I can't promise I have the time to answer every question in detail, but I'll do my very best. I'm Espen Kraft, and I am the 80s. Thank you so much for watching. Cheers.